Next, there is WebSocket related functions. Start WebSocket, send WebSocket request, on message, on error, on open, and on close. Okay, now let's write WebSocket related class. Okay, import WebSocket, and now let's write WebSocket class. Get rid of this thing. For timing, WebSocket will not receive anything, right? And next there is start WebSocket functionality, right? So let's copy this thing, okay, import threading and time. Okay, and now we need to have these four functions. So these four functions are down here. We will not copy on message function. Okay, copy these things. Okay, and for on message, for timing we will print the message only, because we need to handle on message differently. In our tutorial version we are handling all the messages inside on message function, and this is okay but not effective. And another thing is at the moment we have and another thing is that at the moment we have very few messages to handle, but as we progress we are going to have so many messages to handle, and it will be difficult to manage right here inside this class. So we will write a dedicated class for message handling. So, all looks good, right? And one more thing, now the WebSocket URL lies in settings.py, so we need to import that URL from version 2 settings import WebSocket URL, and replace this with ws URL. All looks good, right? Now let's go to IQ client module and import that class here from version 2.iq WebSocket. Not IQ client, we have something called IQ, not version 1. Okay, this needs to be version 2.iq WebSocket import WebSocket Manager, right? And let's initialize this WebSocket inside init function. Let's give it attribute name like WebSocket, and WebSocket Manager. This WebSocket Manager does not accept any argument, right? So far so good. Now let's write one more function, new function, and this function will be responsible for making login request, and upon successful login attempt to connect to WebSocket, and then attempt to get authenticated to WebSocket by passing session ID, right? Okay, let's give it a name like connect, and then first we want to make sure we get successfully logged in. Okay, we can do this because this login function returns true upon successful login, right? And if login is successful, then we can get inside this block, and here what we can do is actually attempt to connect to WebSocket. So self-drop, we have something called WebSocket instance, and this instance has start WebSocket methods, right? And okay, I think this is all we need for time being, right? And the thing is that okay, so it will keep looping because of this variable being false, and we have while loop, right? So what we need to do is, let's consider if we get a message from WebSocket. Let's consider for time being that we are connected to WebSocket. False. So far so good. Right now let's run the script and see if this is working or not. Now instead of login, we can call this new function .connect, which is responsible for logging and other things. Okay, logged in, connected, we got time sync message, and then we're not getting out of the loop. Maybe I said, okay, this needs to be true, not false. It's already false, right? Fine, let's run the script one more time. Perfect, so it's working as expected. Now let's write, okay, now let's attempt to authenticate to WebSocket. So in order to get authenticated to WebSocket, we need to pass name SSID and value SSID from session.cookies, right? And in order to send this, we need to have this function send WebSocket request function. So let's copy this function and paste it down here. We don't need to make much modification in this. We need to import JSON, and then I want to rename it to send message, because in WebSocket it's either send message or receive message, right? Okay, so this is all we need to do. Next, let's attempt to log into get authenticated to iqoption WebSocket. Okay, so what we can do is self dot websocket dot send message, and we need to pass name called SSID, and we need to pass SSID value, and we can get SSID value uh, from this function get session ID. So self dot get session ID, right? And then actually let's do time dot sleep for now. Time dot sleep, just to make sure that we are getting the message. We will handle this bit differently in a moment, right? For now, let's run the script and see what we are going to get. Successfully logged in. Okay, so we are getting profile message. This means we are successfully authenticated. Now let's handle on message function differently. Unlike in our tutorial version, we need to handle it in more effective and better approach. So let's create a class that will be responsible for processing all the incoming message. Okay, now let's create a new module called message handler. Okay, and then for time being, let's import JSON and login, and let's define this class, right? And we need to have so for now we are getting profile message and time sync message, right? So let's define attribute for storing this profile and server time, right, which is time sync message. Okay, now we need to have a function that is capable of receiving incoming message from on message function from WebSocket, right? So let's give it a name, something like handle message, and this need to accept incoming message, right? And for now let's simply print the message just to make sure we are getting message inside this function, right? Now we need to have access of this function inside our WebSocket module. We can either directly import here or the better thing may be to import here and pass it to WebSocket. So let's do that. From version 2 dot message handler, import message handler class, and same like this. We need to keep this message handler above WebSocket handler, right? Handler, and let's give it name MSG handler. Now let's pass this message handler to WebSocket, and now WebSocket needs to accept this message handler instance, and self.message handler instance gonna be this. We have one small issue here, and we can fix by doing this, right? Everything looks good. Now instead of printing message here, let's send this message to self dot message handler dot. This message handler has this class, right, capable of accepting message. So let's do this and pass this message there. Okay, in our older version, when we receive the message, this is what we are doing, right? So let's copy this thing and paste it as it is. Okay, all looks good. Okay, I think this is all we need to do. Now let's run the script and see if that message handler is receiving the message and printing the message or not. Perfect, message handler is receiving the message and it's also printing message, right? Now let's do one thing. Instead of printing the message, let's store profile message in self.profile and time sync message in self.server time. Here in our tutorial version, we have one very serious issue, and that's being, let's say if the message name is balances, so what happens is first it checks this condition, then this condition, and only it goes inside this condition, right? And same thing for, let's say, underlying list, it will check all the above conditions, and then it will go inside this condition. So it's kind of like time consuming and less effective, right? So we need to get rid of this issue, and we can get rid of this issue by doing one thing. Instead of doing that, what we can do is, let's say if the message name is time sync message, pass this message to time sync related function, right, and not to other function. And the same way, if the message name is profile message, we are going to define profile message handling function, right? We will pass that message to that related function only, instead of doing checking for all the things, right? So for that, what we can do is, so what I'm talking about is, for example, this. So this function is able to handle this server time message, right? So what we can do is, first let's get the message name from the WebSocket message, and we can do this, right? So each message is a dictionary, and it contains key called name, right? So we can catch the name, we can get the name from WebSocket message, right? And then let's define something called handlers, and this handler is going to be key value mapping. So the key is going to be the WebSocket message name, and the value is going to be the function responsible for handling this particular message. For example, we have message name time sync, right? So for time sync message, we have dedicated function called handle server time, right? So this is going to be self dot handle server time, right? And for profile message, the name is profile, So for profile message we have now, okay, let's create this function handle profile. Okay, so this handle profile is dedicated function for handling profile, right? And as we progress we will add more functions this way, right? But for now we're getting time sync and profile message, so having these two is enough. Next thing what we need to do is actually get the function name based on the mass based on the WebSocket message, right? So what we can do is we have handler, which is a dictionary, and we can do handler dot get and pass the message WebSocket message name. So this message name is going to be the key, and if the key is available here, for example if the message name is time sync, it's going to return us the value, and in this case it's going to be self dot handle server time function, right? So if handler or function is available, what we can do is since handler is a function, we can pass argument to it, right? Looks good, right? Now let's see if we are getting time sync, let's say time sync and profile. Okay, we must, if our function is working as expected, we must get like profile once, but time sync can be like many times, because we are like, because time sync is being received every time or so, right? Now let's run the function. Are we going to get, this time we're not going to get this message profile message and time sync, instead we're going to get time sync profile time sync, because we receive profile message only once at the time of authentication, right? But time sync we get every second or so, that's why we're getting this thing. So the main thing is that we are getting this thing printed, that means our function is working as expected. Now let's do one thing. Let's make sure that messages are being stored in self.profile message and self.server time or not, and we can do that by uh, let's access those messages here self. So Algo API has something called message handler, or MSC handler actually, MSC handler, and this message handler has profile message attribute, right? The same way it has server time, right? So now let's get rid of this print from print thing and run the script. This time we are going to get this thing time sync one time and profile message one time, right? Okay, so we are getting the time sync but profile message is none. Okay, what may be the issue? Let's see if this is the issue. Okay, we're still getting none for profile message. Let's debug. Self dot profile message. We are storing the whole message, right? And the attribute. Okay, attribute is not. So this needs to be this, right? And now instead of, okay, so this one is okay. No need to modify it. This time we must be able to get profile message as well, right? Perfect. So it is working as expected. Okay, so we wrote this new class called message handler, and this will be responsible for cascading a particular message to particular function, right? Unlike in our this tutorial version, and we are importing this WebSocket and message handler in our main module, right? And we are using these things this way.